Hi there, this is Fred Kreger with American Pacific Mortgage, and I'm here with Dave Kosmecki, our area manager up in the beautiful Twin Cities of Minneapolis and Minnesota. And one of the things that we were discussing over the last couple months is how to migrate into home buying seminars that aren't necessarily live. Obviously, 2020 gave us a new type of paradigm of how we are to reach our clients, and Dave came up with a great new type of paradigm and how he reaches those people, and that's really online. And so really what I wanted to do is have Dave really go over some of the nuts and bolts and really, how do we start, how do things the cost and things like that. So I want you all to hear from him. And so real quickly, Dave, I want to find out, in terms of return on investment, what is the total cost that you're spending a month on these home buying seminars?
Well, it's changed recently. I was spending a lot more before using some ad agency software, and now I've developed the process on my own and the software. So my cost really is just the ad cost, and I'm spending about $400 in ad spend for a webinar. But keep in mind that I'm partnering up on those with real estate agents, and so they're paying half the cost. So
what was the startup then? So when you initiated it, what was really the startup cost for the engine behind it?
Well, when I was using an ad agency, it was a couple grand a month to get started. And what I've developed now is I put a lot of development in with coders out of Pakistan and India to literally create the same system that does both webinars and does sales funnels like lead pops. And it adds a power dialer. I added a power dialer to the system. So I've eliminated all of those costs that I had.
Awesome.
And so the ad cost really is, now I've got a bunch of my own money into development, thousands of dollars into development, but I'll get that back with business. So
now you say that you spend about $400 a month in advertising. Is that on Facebook? Is that different types of
webinar? Per webinar. And
okay,
I'm doing one every other week.
Okay. And how far in advance?
I could do them more often. I'm also running ads in outstate Minnesota without a webinar that are geared towards rural housing. And that's a separate thing. And then it goes through a sales funnel, and then those people turn into buyers. Matter of fact, on Friday, we pre-approved one of those buyers, and on Sunday he was already under contract. He was pretty anxious.
Awesome.
So I mean, it's not just one, but I mean that's one.
Sure.
They typically don't turn that fast, but
right. How often do you have to promote per, I guess, really webinar, do you think, in advance in order to get the people that you need on those webinars?
I'm advertising 1 week out, and I picked a Thursday. Not that a Saturday morning or a Tuesday wouldn't work, but I picked a Thursday evening. And Wednesday is church. Monday is too close to the weekend. And Friday, they're already thinking of weekends. Saturday morning might be a good one too, but I do a Thursday, so I run an ad for 1 week. And on Facebook, we set up 5 different ads with 4 different ad copies. And I let Facebook choose which ad and which copy to present to the Facebook viewer based upon Facebook's experience. And we run the ads as a conversion ad, not a lead ad. And there's multiple ways to do this on Facebook. But a conversion ad means that we track that in the software with Facebook pixels. So Facebook knows when they complete the form to register.
That's awesome.
That's considered a success on their part. And And so it's a conversion ad. So I get a lot less response, but the ones that I get, I tried their Facebook ad people said, well, you should try it as a lead. So I ran one as a lead and I got like 800 people and not one person filled out the form. And so when we do a conversion ad, last fall, I've been doing this for a while. I've been
Well, that's a
running
good pitfall actually to
for
bring up,
5,
right?
6 years, but specifically this webinar thing since last summer. And I was getting about 48 to 50 people registering. And right now it's closer to 30. But again, it's February and we
It's in
just got
Minnesota.
out of dinner. Actually, we just got out of Christmas and there's tons of snow still out there. So I'm happy with 30 because what I look at isn't how many people register. Certainly that's a component. But what I'm looking at is a harder number to find. And that is, what is my cost per closed loan? Because bottom line, you had 15,000 impressions. Who cares? Or you had 1,000 people register. I don't care. It doesn't matter if I have one person on a webinar or if I have 1,000. What I need to know is, what is it going to cost me at the tail end per closed loan? And I track that in the software. And right now, my cost per closed loan is right around $150. But keep in mind that cost is split 50-50 with a realtor partner. So my cost per closed loan is closer. It hovers, it changes a little bit by a few bucks, but it's averaging about $75 per closed loan.
That's a great return on investment, Dave. That's amazing.
Yes, I'm happy with it. Years ago, a couple of years ago, it was costing me $200-300 a closed loan. And so we played with this a lot over the years to tune in to maximize to get where I'm at now. Is it maximized? Probably not. We're still working on it.
Right. Well, you mentioned, obviously using Facebook, and that didn't necessarily get you where you needed to go. What are some of the other pitfalls that you, I guess, experience, right? They call that wisdom now, that, you could basically let us know about some of the things you want to make sure that you avoid.
Well, my focus is, how do I give to agents so I get business back? And originally, and in my outstate ads, I still do, I'm paying for the cost of that. But I've learned that real estate partners, they're paying for ad spend all day long. And don't be afraid to partner with them. Like I hold one every other week. And every agent that I've presented this to have said, sign me up. I want to do this. And I've got some agents that have done it a dozen times. I have others that are just starting, and they all want to participate. And what I've noticed, like I picked up this agent that was, it's kind of funny. I was using the rural housing ad. I got a buyer, and my thing that I say always is, well, finding a good realtor is like finding a good auto mechanic. Usually you don't know if they're good or bad until it's too late. And my suggestion would be to use somebody that's a referral. And with my years of experience, I would be happy to refer somebody that I would use who wanted to buy a home in whatever market they're in, because I've got a network. I'm running this all, in 11 different counties or 12 different counties, and it's designed to produce leads for specific realtors that I want to get more business from. And they said, no, we've got somebody that we want to work with. And I said, well, okay. And I looked him up, and he was doing a fair amount of business. I said, well, great. So we connected, and I said, well, make sure your agent calls me so he understands exactly how the financing is going to work and where you qualify and all this. So he dials me right up. And as we're working, I'm sharing with a little bit what we're doing. He said, "Oh, I'd be very interested." And in the process, he sent me 6 buyers. I mean, yeah, they all work. They're not all ready to buy today. They need a little touch up on their credit. But the point is, they're already participating. So I did a home buyer webinar with him. I snuck him in ahead of somebody else. And we've got 6 people that he's out showing houses to right now.
That's great. That's awesome.
So,
Now, as in terms of follow-up then,
don't be afraid to partner with people. Let
Right.
Facebook choose how the ad is presented. And so my ad is pretty simple. It's got 4 different types of houses with ad copy in the ad about the webinar over the ad. And some are a beautiful 2-story house or a multi-level, you know, in the a first-time home buyer could choose. And I've got one that's kind of a beat-up looking bungalow, and Facebook presents that ad to more people than any other one. And
Interesting.
people are responding to that one. And it's blue, you know, it's a light blue house, and it's squeezed in so it's not palatial looking. The end, you don't even see the ends of the house, it's cut off, and that's the ad that they're presenting. The other thing that they're presenting more than anything else in ad copy is the ad copy with emojis in it. And I found that using emojis gets people to respond more so. I wouldn't think that. But I took
They have research, right? They have thousands upon thousands of impressions, right? That they've done the research on. So it makes sense.
And so I took I take a lot of different seminars, and one was about ad copy, and I found that there's a website, Emojipedia, that gives you the ability to use 2,000 different emojis that you can pick and place in, and they're free, and you just download them and put them in your ad copy. Now, some emojis have underlying meaning, so you gotta be careful.
Right.
But certainly that's something that I found to be important as well.
Right.
The other thing that I found, is if you're going to send out communication, what is the best time to send out communication? And it's typically late morning before lunch, when most emails are open, a higher percentage of emails. So
the day, you're talking about the day of the seminar to make sure that those are sent out.
And the follow-up time to that.
Gotcha. Right.
So they go out at a specific time. I mean, we have it set up, and then of course, then we've got them set up, getting closer, getting text, emails, and the system also does voice drops. So we've got a voice drop that goes in, and we can we choose the phone number that the voice drop's coming from, and immediately we get 20 phone calls because people don't listen to the voicemail. Hey, somebody just called me, I'm going to call them right back. And so we're prepared. We weren't the first time. Oh yeah, I was just trying to reach you about the webinar that's going to be in 2 hours. Just want to make sure you're going to attend. You should have a text, but you'll be getting another one in about an hour with the link. Make sure you log in. So those are some things that we've noticed. Other things that I've learned is, when we attend a webinar, I don't want to say that I do this, and I'm sure I'm not the one and you aren't either, but we're doing something else at the same time. And so how do you keep people engaged during the webinar? So we use a paid version of Zoom because that's consumer friendly.
Mm-hmm.
We use a waiting room up until 10 minutes before. we play background music in the waiting room, which is Zoom allows you to do that if you learn the settings. And I message people in the waiting room. We'll be starting shortly, hang on. And then when we bring them in, we've got a screen that the first thing, and it says, if you don't hear music playing, check your speakers, because we want to make sure that people can hear us, and not everybody has their speakers turned on. And then during the webinar, we use the chat. We don't allow people to unmute themselves, and they're instructed to use the chat box. And my realtor partner's job is to start conversations in the chat so people are engaged besides watching the webinar. And I'm using polls also.
I was going to ask you about that, because I know in the past, some webinars, right, they'll use the polls to make sure that people are engaged, right? If you have 10 people that are signed up and only 2 people are, answered the polls, like, hey, knock, knock, are you still there?
Well, and then we have a Q&A session. So we encourage them to ask questions during the Q&A. And the whole point of the webinar is for them to book an appointment with me. So every time I mention that the next step of booking an appointment, I have another team member on the webinar, and they're all listed as co-hosts, so they can speak up. And she immediately posts the link to book an appointment. And when they do that, it's all coded in with that Facebook pixel. So it moves them from attending, signing up for the webinar to attended the webinar, and then it makes a sweep after the webinar that they didn't attend. It puts them in another column and tags them that way. The real estate agent is tagged also, because I've got multiple webinar people in that software, so I want to know who they belong to. And then if they book an appointment, they're moved automatically. The system moves them to that column. And then if they attended it, they get moved to the other column that they booked an appointment. And then manually, I got to drag them over if they're actually pre-approved. And then once they're pre-approved and looking, they've already applied. They're already in Total Expert, or I'm using Jungo, but the same thing. They're already in that system, and that system takes over. So the system that I'm using is designed for leads only, not managing business later. It's designed to follow through on the before they apply. And
so the follow-up is already inherently built into the system through either Total Expert or Jungo. So it's not as if somebody is going to fall to the side and you're going to forget to follow up. It's automatically part of your system already.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So that takes over, and this system is gone. It's only new leads that are coming in through social media. And whether they are emailing me, whether they're texting me, or whether they're DMing me inside of Facebook, the system manages that and puts them all in the same place under their contact. So if they're sending me a message, we can respond to them through the same medium right inside the software.
And how long have you been doing this now, Dave?
Online stuff,
Yeah.
about 9 years, and with different ad agencies about 7.5 years. And with this particular software, I've developed it from other things that I've learned. We wanted it to do this and do that, and I didn't want this, and so we've created that, and it's relatively new within the last few months.
Right. And then how long usually are your webinars in terms of and are there different topics that you discuss other than first-time home buying?
Well, I've only been doing the first time homebuyer webinar and they last an hour.
Okay. Good to know.
I do have another webinar prepped and ready to go for investors. But I've been focusing on first time homebuyers primarily for one reason. They don't have the muscle memory of the 3% interest rate.
Mhm.
And so, though I got to wait for rates to come down, they don't have that. I want to get into a house today. What do I need to do? Can I afford the payment? And so the webinar that I host is the five. This sounds hokey, but it works. The 5 deadly mistakes that other home buyers have made to avoid.
That's great.
And
Gets
so,
their attention.
well, that's the whole idea. I mean, it sounds hokey, but it works. And the outstate ads that I run are no down financing for rural housing, the USDA program we talk about. And I certainly could run something else in those ads as well. I could run a doctor program. I could run a star program. I could talk about cash buys. We could certainly do all those things. I just haven't done that yet. I've been
Awesome.
so busy with what I'm doing that
Right.
I haven't had time to start running other ads yet.
Well, you definitely have the chassis that's built.
I just
So I
haven't
like that.
done it.
Right. So I love that. So, hey, Dave, I really appreciate you kind of, sharing, if you don't mind, some of the secret sauce, today. And I look forward to seeing you in the future with this. Thank you.
Thank you.